Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Marvel podcast. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm here with Hex Dogma and WandaVision. We're your Valentines today.
We are.
We're going to be talking about episode 6 of WandaVision, Hacks. What a great episode, dude. Like last week, we're like, hey, this was the best episode of the season. And now we're here. And I think that was the best episode. So without further ado, everyone, I'm Kyle. This is Chris. We're the Marvel podcast back here on Sunday. You know what it is. We're here to have some fun and get hype. Chris, how you feeling, man?
Feeling good. It's Valentine's Day. It's another day. It's a good day. WandaVision here. Yeah, all good things.
Hell yeah, man. I see some awesome people in chat. We gotta give a round of applause and also get the hype train going for Morley. Happy Valentine's Day to you and Hacks, everyone in chat. You all rock, and so does this show. I love you all. $25 donation, Maura. Thank you so much. I'll put that in the Marvel podcast fund for later. And I see Jess. I also see, of course, Hacks in chat. Robbie Meeson. I see Jess. And anybody else that's going to be joining us, we want to thank you for joining us today. It's going to be super fun. Like I said, happy Valentine's Day. I love you 3000.
Dude, I love you too. I didn't think we were saying it publicly yet, but
I didn't think we were announcing it. How does your wife feel about this? So yeah, Hacks, let's get into it. WandaVision episode 6, Valentine Spooktacular. Pretty interesting premise. A little bit of horror, a little bit of comedy, and overall, what were your thoughts about it?
I wonder if they planned that, right? The Halloween episode to be on the Valentine's week, like. I don't know why they would do that, I guess, but it's just a holiday episode that they needed. You know, Valentine's Day, if it was a Valentine's Day episode, probably wouldn't be as funny. You know, Halloween is always the mischief, right? But I don't know. It was a good episode. It was I often worry that I have like a recency bias where I just like love the latest and greatest, but man, just every single episode is just so much better than the last episode. And it's because it's because every single episode ends with like this big twist, and you're not even a big twist, just like this big grandiose moment where you're just like, oh my god, what, how does this tie in? Where are all the pieces to this puzzle? And yeah, I mean, just another great episode. And as soon as those credits start playing, I'm just like, damn it, dude, like, why?
There was a lot of big revelations in this episode. We're going to talk about them all. We're going to talk about what cataract is. That's interesting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the confirmation that Monica's cells are changing on a molecular level. That's a pretty big deal. We're going to talk about that, how she may become Photon. Talked about that in the last episode a little bit, but yeah, there's some interesting possibilities that can come with that. Talk about director Hayward, man. He really, he's a dick. We're going to talk about that.
Whoa, he's a bad guy? No way. Nobody can guess that.
We'll talk about the possibilities because me and Chris have talked privately, and I've floated about 7 different theories now about the possibilities of who this guy could possibly be. Chris is more level-headed and intelligent than I am, so he'll play devil's advocate and probably talk me down from the ledge. But yeah, let's get some ratings in chat for the episode. I'd love to see what you guys rate the episode out of 10. Of course, if you have any questions or comments that you would like featured on the podcast, let us know in there. We'll try to get to as many as possible during the podcast. I would give this one like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10.
Actually, out of 100. I want a rating out of 100. Nobody ever goes this high.
Okay. Well,
the highest rated podcast.
Okay, out of 100, what would you rate the episode out of 100, chat? Really interested to see what
I personally, 93.5.
93? I was going to say 92.
Yeah, 93.5 out of 100.
Maura Lee says 10 out of 10. Holy jeez. It was
good. I mean, it was amazing. Like, I'm being critical by subtracting 7 points of it.
so let's talk about this then. Let's talk about WandaVision's format, and then we'll get into the breakdown of the episode. Is this the final form of how we're going to absorb Marvel content, because that was, to me, like as good as it gets.
I mean, like, so, you know, and that goes to the grander issue of storytelling and in media. Like, you know, the silver screen for the longest time was such a great way to have television, and then it seemed like movies were just the dominant force, and that was like what everybody cared about. Now it's like, now I feel like Westworld and many other shows that just have like such good drama and storytelling really made people aware that you can have so much more content and so much more interaction and engagement if you know, tell the same story but across many hours, and in the form of television. And I love it. I think that it's the better way to do content. But at the same time, like, I do love movies. I love the cinema and just complete stories that, you know, have a single story to tell, and then they can lead to more things after that. But yeah, so I think 100% there is a good chance that we see many more shows that are well developed like this. But, and more so now that quarantine's happening and nobody's going to the movies anymore. I mean, AMC for a while there we all thought that AMC was going to die. You know, so
Stonks. Yeah. It's really interesting, right? Because life changed so much. And I gotta say, I agree with you. Like, going to the movie with a group of like 3 or 4 friends, or even bigger, whatever. You go to the movies and you go watch that Marvel movie. You stay for the after credits, Chris. You know what I mean? You walk out of the movie theater and you're talking about, oh my God, they're gonna do a Wolverine movie, or they're gonna, oh my God, we're gonna get a Doctor Strange movie. You know what I mean? And that, like, the after credits scenes are just so iconic, and that's the way we've absorbed Marvel for 20 years. But now things have changed. Like, I want to use The Mandalorian as an example. Star Wars movies, right? Like, of course, they've had, you know, Clone Wars in the form of animated TV show and whatnot. But this is crazy, right? Because, like, if I were to ask you the question of, like, what if Game of Thrones was a movie trilogy? Like, it would definitely not have been as successful as getting that, whatever, 70 episodes, right? You know what I mean? Talking about like getting that extra content, being able to tell that much of a story. Like, yeah, Westworld season 3 wasn't my favorite, but still, man, I'll take 10 episodes over 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it speaks to like the drama of it, right? Like, you can, you know, like, how many hours of Game of Thrones was there? Like 70 hours,
73,
right?
I think, in final.
Yeah, so it's like 73 hours worth of movies. No way. That is a crazy thing that I really probably wouldn't trust in. But 73 hours of a concise TV show, just, you know, methodically going through the drama, you know, plotted as a TV show that lets you, like, you know, because the whole thing is that they are allowed to take longer on certain points to really develop the feeling of certain things. Whereas, like, in a movie, you need to have that finished singular product that, you know, doesn't always need to care about the grand scope. It needs to care more about that individual story. Whereas episodes always think about the grander scope. And
the 3-act structure of storytelling, like, you know, traditional hero's journey storytelling. You know, Joseph R. Campbell, that's been so influential on the way the movies are directed, like the length of movies as well, right? And now, like, okay, I absolutely love the Batman movies, but like, it feels like, and I don't know, this is why I'm excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. That type of setting, like this type of setting for that, this kind of Marvel genre, like, there's different genres of Marvel. We're getting into kind of Doctor Strange mystery type of stuff with WandaVision. You know what I mean? This is kind of like the more niche version of Marvel. But then once we get into like kind of like more of the meta mainstream stuff like Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think Loki will be a mix of what WandaVision is and what's going to happen in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It'll kind of be like in the middle, because we will get, you know, some multiverse. Like, Loki's dead. Yeah. But I'm really interested to see how Falcon and Winter Soldier comes across, because I think it's going to be dope. We're going to get 50-minute episodes. It's going to be getting like we're getting a movie trilogy. It'll be really interesting to see how they structure the episodes.
I'm way more optimistic about Loki than I am about Winter Soldier and Falcon. Not because, like, anything against the actors or anything like that. It's just that Loki is so much more of an interesting character to me than their their characters combined. Like, I am very interested to see how they, how they deal with being Captain America now, essentially, and taking that title, and then having to be the good guy for humanity, and really be a leader in something that they weren't really prepared to be. And so I'm excited for that dynamic, but I just have so much more faith that Loki has a wider toolkit to keep me engaged and theory craft about what they're doing, right? And as opposed to what I feel like is just two normie ass dudes that are gonna, do fun stuff, right?
Like like the buddy cop comedy type, road trip type deal. I think we'll get some of those vibes from it. But yeah, WandaVision, I still we'll talk about Mephisto and we'll talk about Nightmare, because those were those were definitely those villains were definitely signaled as kind of things that could be appearing in WandaVision hacks. But I think that it'll be interesting. Like, I don't know. I still think we're gonna get a really big twist at the end of it. Like, Doctor Strange is probably going to show up. We'll talk about that. And we're gonna jump into the breakdown in just a moment. We gotta get that hype train going again for Maura Lee to Marvel's hype, and we'll give her a clap in chat, everyone. Maura Lee is also our Valentine to Marvel for giving us fabulous movies and shows. Hell yeah! Like this, they are really pulling through for us and helping us stay sane in 2021. Let's be honest. It was. We always look forward to the 3 or 4 Marvel movies we get every year, Chris. We didn't have that in 2020, man. Yeah. Now we're getting back to what, 10, 11 Marvel IPs this year, so it'll be great.
Yeah, maybe that's why 2020 was so bad, as Marvel dropped the ball.
So yeah, let's jump into the breakdown for WandaVision. Really, really interesting stuff this episode. Where should we start? I guess we should kind of start with
Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle, man. What was your thoughts on that? That was the sitcom influence for this one.
So good. Like, it started, and you're just like, wow, okay, they're really doing this. And then just everything, the transitions, the lenses that they use, the scenes, the comedy, whoever made this, like, it felt like this was the most true, like replication of a show so far. It was like the entire time I was just like, wow, I want to be a child again watching
the punk rock music from Malcolm in the Middle too. That was dope.
And the other thing is that I love the Bernie Mac show, and it like whenever I think of the show, I always think of the Bernie Mac show for some reason. And then of course it was just like, then it made me sad because I was like, damn, dude, Bernie Mac really died. Like, damn. But yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, that was cool. We got, of course, the classic Vision and Wanda costumes, which was awesome. Like this Vision, the red face paint and the yellow
Libre, dude.
The Lucha Libre costume.
The dynamic between Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen there, I love that. Whatever it was, it just felt like the cutest, like most real life wife, husband, like little playful, because she's like, or he's like, I know you have a thing about Mexican wrestlers, and she's like, ooh, like it was just it was so cute, man. I don't know why, but and the other thing is like, and they also kept the drama, right? Through all of the levity, they kept the drama, because right before that, kind of touching, cute little playful moment between husband and wife, it was like, hey, you didn't give me any other clothes to wear. I don't have any agency. I don't have a choice in this matter. I'm wearing this because I would be naked otherwise. Like, someone, and I think it's you, is making me do this. Like, and of course it's like that passive aggressive little comment by him, that of course, like, to avoid a conflict, he just turns to levity.
It's really interesting because a lot of people have been praising Elizabeth Olsen and, her portrayal through all of the different sitcoms in like the first 3 or 4 episodes, right? She like really, really went off. Like, she must have studied, Bewitched and the Steve Van Dyke Show and all of that. But Paul Bettany in this episode, oh my goodness, he's criminally underrated, man. You know what I mean? Like, to have to play with artificial intelligence and then have to come in WandaVision and play human. Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So underrated. I hope like he has a pretty good career so far. He's done a few things that I know him from, but I loved him. Like and the episode 2 performance where he is talking in the town square there, doing the magic act, it just reminded me of The Knight's Tale, and I was just like, him standing in front of the audience saying, "Today, you bask in the greatness of his loins," or something, right? And it was just like so funny back when I was a kid, but that performance still felt like the same thing. He is a great actor, and seeing him spoiler alert, seeing him dissolve at the end there, and he was just like so wholesome to the end, a true hero, not having any concern about what's happening to himself, but making sure the people on the outside know what's happening to save the people and relieve them of the spell. Just no wonder he could pick up Mjolnir. Like, hero, 100% hero.
Crazy. The way Hayward was looking at that go down, he looked like he looked almost gleeful about that. We'll talk about Hayward. I saw Robbie, I saw you bring up an awesome question in chat. What was up with Pietro and the holes in his body and the vampire look? We're going to have a huge section about that, because I think that's related to what Darcy found in the secret files of Hayward. She hacked his computer hacks and found a file named Cataract.
Dude.
This is something that we talked about privately quite a bit. I think this is the thing we probably talked about the most for this episode, because it's classified as a weapon, and we knew that something was going on because we talked about this in the last podcast. That why does he have vision? Like they are moving away from the core mission statements, the core mission statement, and the values that Found was sorted on, or that Sword was founded on, Chris.
Yep.
And that was man missions to outer space and observation. Yep. Now he's observing, but with nefarious intentions, I think, because weapons and AI, I don't know, that feels like a Hydra thing. You know what I mean? That feels like...
I mean, weapons, AI, and nanotechnology, all of that feels like Tony Stark, right? Like that's his project, the last movie. Like Tony Stark literally says that his suit's made of nanotechnology. And of course, it's just like kind of glossed over to like really show that his suit can do way more. Nanotechnology is a great science fiction, tool right now. My book uses it. It's a real thing, but it's also like the application and the implication is massive, right? So saying that he does that links it to Tony Stark, and I think this creation of AI, and that was the whole thing. That scene shows that they use those three things, robotics, something else, and then nanotechnology to create sentient weapons. And it's just glossed over. Like, they're like openly admit, hey, just like it says on the door, yeah, we create sentient weapons now. And my whole point of bringing all of this up is that in a lot of way, Vision is the sentient weapon, the OG sentient weapon. And
he's the perfect form of Ultron.
Yeah, and we know that he had that Sword had his body. I have so many reasons to believe that Sword is way, way more involved in this than we really think. And back to my subpixel theory video about like how they may have been the people that created this world. I think that's still on the table, because he's just like, it just feels like there's an observation happening here. Like if their goal was to create this sentient weapon, which we know that they're doing, and they just happen to be at this like pinnacle event about the main sentient weapon, and we know that he's not the same Vision. It feels like he's been reprogrammed. I'm just like, dude, this feels like that Sword put all of this together to test either their vision, like, their version of Vision, or something. Like just something's up. And the Cataract file, it like, of course, cataracts being the absence of vision, right? So it's like, is that saying that they're blocking vision? Like, why would they do that? Like, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I think it's ultimately just a play on words to show us that, again, they are involved. And, the cataracts line is, of course, about, is that symbolic link, if nothing else.
Well, I think there's more to it than that, because Vision died after Thanos rewinded time with the Time Stone and he ripped the Mind Stone out. Vision has the Mind Stone in his skull. In his body in this episode, Chris. But one thing that's really interesting about this is that Vision, after we get the perspective swap and all of that happens, and then we see Vision dead, like Wanda's disgusted, and we see his gray face, his eyes are completely opaque with cataracts, right?
Yep.
Then, at the end of this episode, Pietro has the same thing. And what is the connection between both of these things? And Wanda, they are both the most important. I think these are the two most important people in her life, and they've both died. Now, this isn't the same Pietro, which is pretty interesting considering Pietro tells her in that conversation, I'm not a stranger. But like, okay, well, yeah, you are. You're not the same Pietro. And then he says, I'm not your husband, which is pretty interesting. I think that Pietro and the shark, we'll talk about the shark commercial, the Yo Magic commercial in a little bit. The snacking on Yo Magic is like a pretty big clue, I think. But we got to really go into cataract here. Why is it cataract? Because it's clear that Wanda is having these moments of awakening, Chris, right? Like she's like, oh, I don't remember what's happened. And then she starts to remember in this episode specifically, she tells it to Pietro, I remember the feeling of being lonely. That's the one thing that we know for certain is part of the reason why she created the hex. She doesn't want to accept that her life partner is dead. Her Vision was going to be her life partner, right? So I think.
I mean, like I think that's implied, right? Like I feel like that is implied, and I feel like that's implied universally. Everybody believes that, and like that grief, and that need to create this thing to protect yourself, and that grief. Like my early videos talk about that extensively, because it does feel like that. But that's never explicitly said. That's never like. I feel like so much is put on Wanda and made us to believe that Wanda created this world that it's just like. Maybe we should question that. Like, why?
Which brings me to my next point, Chris.
Why would we do that? Yeah.
Me and you were talking privately about this. And I have I talked about this in my episode breakdown. If you guys want to go check it out, mods, if you want to grab the video and put it in the chat, you can. Chris, yours is coming out tomorrow, I believe. So we'll make sure we get a link for his. He says he doesn't know yet. His is long. But one thing we talked about is like all of these different scenarios that try to reach Wanda, right? Like first we have the beekeeper, right? And we got the perspective swap and we learned on how they were, trying to go through. And obviously Wanda says no in that situation. She's like choosing not to acknowledge whatever this person wants. You know what I mean? Because she knows it's going to affect whatever is happening within the hex, right?
Yep.
So that they're trying to make contact. Then we have Monica, who obviously gets into the hex. Kind of by accident. But then in episode 5, we had the shoot first, ask questions later moment when Wanda is flying where Monica is flying the drone and Hayward says, shoot the missiles, the Stark missiles, right?
Yeah.
That to me felt like they were trying to get her to use her magic on purpose, use her abilities on purpose. But and what's so interesting about this scenario, the previous scenario, is that Wanda brought the drone back. She literally says, hey, don't fuck with me, and gives them a warning. She could have killed every single person there easily. She had control over all the soldiers with the assault rifles. And then Monica in that situation, right? She's trying to be diplomatic. She's like, hey, Wanda, like, listen, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to figure out what's going on here. And then she turns all the guns, all the lasers right onto Director Hayward. Now, what if Director Hayward was like, okay, I need to continue to push the envelope, like learning from his lesson. I feel like it's kind of convenient that Pietro showed up at the end of the last episode because Pietro is the one that says, hey, your husband can't die twice, right? And that's when she basically blasts him, and that's when she starts to unleash her magic. Right. So I feel like cataract is somehow connected to both of these dead people. They're trying to get Wanda to use her magic to expand this hex. Because look at what happens. It's transforming people. It transforms Monica at a cellular level. That's crazy, man. Like she's going to become Photon now. You know what I mean? So we got to ask the question of,
I hope,
what the hell? Why are they trying to get Wanda to expand this hex? And I actually think that they're the ones that engineered it.
Yeah. I mean, like, so there's, we know from the final scene that Wanda has at least control over some aspect of the world in the sense of the border, right? She at least has control of the border. And that's, important because it doesn't mean that she is inherently in control of everything, but it means that it explains why she's able to make it bigger. It doesn't mean that she's like adding more magic. It's just, it kind of it makes it to where there's a possibility that she understood that this was growing and this hex was existed and all consuming potentially, and so she created the hex border, right, to keep it in a fixed location. But as people are poking the bear and she's maybe trying to figure it out herself, then she has control to move it outward. And we have a little bit of support in that, in the sense that Monica had a line about or when she was thrown out about Monica had a line about Wanda creating the quarantine that made it into this fixed location. And that always felt so weird to me. I was like, how do you know that she specifically created the quarantine, right? Why would you believe that? How would you get that impression? But with this, I think that is just simply exposition for us, the audience, to say, hey, she is in control of that border, and as such, that's the reason that she can make it bigger. So again, I think it frames this idea that Wanda's ultimately being made to believe that she is in control of this thing, when in reality she doesn't have that much control. But she can specifically control the border, and that's why we see the big ominous wave consuming everything and turning people into clowns, which was chef's kiss.
We had Jimmy Woo, Monica, and Darcy try to tell Hayward, like, hey, man, calm down. Like, something's going on with Wanda, but shooting missiles at her clearly isn't the solution, right?
Yeah.
Then what director Hayward said was really interesting after that. He says, as soon as we remove Wanda from the hex, this nightmare will end. And that's not the only time nightmare is used.
Yep.
Coincidentally, Pietro also mentions nightmares and how he thinks that Westview is charming as hell. So I don't know, man. It's pretty sus to me. You know what I mean? Like, because, man, Pietro could have said, Robbie brings up a great point in chat. Pietro could have said, hey, I'm not a stranger. I'm not your husband. I'm your brother. He never says I'm your brother, Chris.
Nope.
Right? That could have been comforting to her.
But man, what a manipulative piece of shit, dude. Like, how dare you? How dare you, dude? Imagine, like, if my sister-in-law was like, firstly she died and then reanimates and then comes to my wife and is like, hey, I'm not a stranger. I'm not your husband. Confide in me. I'm your dead sister. Like, without even saying I'm your dead sister. Like, just, dude, that's like manipulation 101. Just making it believe like you can trust that person when you explicitly cannot trust that person. And yeah, ultimately, I think Pietro is linked to Sword and Sword's ultimate plot. And I also think that, Sword, having these, so it feels like there's definitely a third party aspect. I think that Nightmare or Mephisto could very well still be a part of this in some kind of way, because I genuinely believe that Agatha Harkness is Agnes, and she is a superpowered individual. But
even after this episode?
Even after this episode. So much after this episode, yeah. Because at first, my first watch, I was like, oh, dude, Wanda's in control. Like, this is the first time that she is directly called out, right? Because it's like, Wanda's doing this to me. When Norm says it, when Norm has his mind cleared, it's like, oh, she's doing this to me. And an unnamed female is doing this to me. But we have to then question the source of that call out, right? The person that we've questioned since episode 1 is now telling Vision that it's Wanda, right? And guess what? Man, I'm so excited about this single point. We know the rules of the world now, right? We know that there's a distribution of energy, and the outskirts of town have the least amount of energy to animate things. Well, what happens when Vision tries to talk to people that are standing still? Nothing. Nobody replies to him. What does he do when he gets to Agnes's car? It makes it look like she was about to escape, the grasp of Wanda's magic, and then she just happened to, get caught right at the last minute.
It's so crazy, because as Vision is going through the town, it becomes less and less populated as he goes to the barrier.
Yep. And but again, because we know the rules of the world, when Vision gets to her car, again, it makes it look like that she's the victim here. She starts talking. She replies to Vision. Nobody else can talk. Right? Nobody else has power to even say anything. And she's like, oh, like she speaks real low and quiet and slow, as if she is somehow affected. I don't think she is at all, because as soon as the mind gets touched, right? It's like, oh my God, who are you? You're an Avenger. What's an Avenger? Like all of this crazy.
And she knows Vision died.
Yeah, and the Vision died. But what happens as soon as he puts the spell back on her? She should have been, should have had the same amount of power distributed to her along with the rest of the town. She should have resorted back to that hobbled state. But what does she do? She gets real happy, real like, okay, neighbor, and does a U-turn and goes back into town, somehow animated when nobody else in that area is. She is a villain, and the whole plot is to make Vision, the audience, us, the audience, everybody believe, Vision, even Wanda herself believe that Wanda is doing this.
So, one thing I think we need to talk about right away is that commercial, dude. Okay, so this is how my interpretation of the commercial, and I want to hear yours, Chris, in chat. You can put how you viewed it. So we have an island, and we have someone on that island. I think that island is an interpretation of Westview. Yep. The island is in isolation, much like Westview is, and that person on the island is Wanda. Okay, that person on the island is Wanda. Okay. That person says, I'm hungry. I'd do anything for something to eat, right? Yep. Conveniently, this shark comes along and says, hey, you can have this snack here. Yo Magic snack. This is Yo Magic yogurt. Can't open it, right? Doesn't the shark, though, feel like it's making an offer to her? Like, hey, have this. He takes off he's like, you know what I mean? Doesn't that feel like what Pietro was saying to Wanda when they were sitting down? Hey, you can open up. You can open up to me. You know what I mean? Tell me how you really feel. Because all of this is attached to Wanda's powers. The more emotional she gets, the stronger her energy release becomes, right? Because she's re-experiencing all of these traumas. Like that's a pretty big deal for her, man. Like I wouldn't want to re-experience the death of my husband or my brother. That's traumatic as hell, man. We saw how messed up she was. But I just find it so interesting, man. Why does he say, I was like you too until I snacked on Yo Magic? Yeah. Which makes me think like the hex is like a giant battery. And this is why I will 100% think it's either Nightmare or Mephisto that's connected to this, because nightmares feed off fear and anxiety and negative emotions. And that is what Director Hayward is trying to instill into Wanda to get her to use her magic. Because look, right, what Pietro says, like they're having their heart-to-heart, and then he says, hey man, your husband can't die twice, right? And conveniently, Billy and Tommy convey the information of what's happening to Vision outside the hex. Like he's disintegrating and dying. Like it's obvious that Wanda's magic and the parameters of the hex, what's happening in the hex world is keeping him alive. So to me, someone is feeding off Wanda's magic, and they're 100% trying to get her to expand the hex, man. Like
I think definitely. So firstly, Nightmare, in my script, I write, and I think I get this from the Wikipedia page, but Nightmare has the ability to draw power from psychic energies of the subconscious minds of dreaming beings, right? Well, all of these people that are suppressed, these 3,000 people, and for some reason we've only seen a dozen of them, I believe that they're in that dream state, and I believe that they could be being fed off of, right? I think that it's kind of like, I interpret that as the shark. The shark is it could still be Wanda. The shark is offering this magic to kind of say, I used to be like you. I remember being so hungry and alone and afraid, until I had Yo Magic. And then it's kind of paralleled with what Wanda's saying later when she's like, I remember, that complete nothingness. So it does feel like she is maybe being fed off of herself or being tricked to create this world that can then feed either Mephisto, all of the people, or feed Nightmare, all of the power of the psychic energies of the subconscious minds that are kind of in a dream state whenever they're bewitched or hexed.
Which is interesting too, because Pietro also mentions all the kids are sleeping, like, and they're like, we didn't Like we didn't
Yeah.
have all of these kids before. He specifically mentions that, and he looks at Wanda like, like why are the kids so important again?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know. The commercial, wow, it was pretty bad. Like it was great. It was great in the sense of claymation, and you're just like, ooh, super cool. But seeing the guy just like have such an intimate proximity to something that could save his life, and then just fiddle with it and fiddle with it and fiddle with it until he dies, it's just like, is it saying that there is like a carrot at the end of a stick, and you're just the pig kind of running after it until you just wither away? Like, is Wanda withering away, and this is like the showing us that she made this deal, or that she was offered this thing in exchange for her husband back, or the
The
stream life?
townspeople could be the representation of the people dying too. Like, how are they eating?
Yeah.
They're being controlled by all this magic. Like, they're in pretty big trouble, I think. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, if
They could-
Nightmare's the one that's feeding on them, I think 100% that they are at a huge risk.
Children are at risk, which is super fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Like, and what the ending of that commercial is so interesting too, Chris, because death and tragedy is such a central theme to Wanda's story, right? It shapes her whole life, right? Like, her parents die. I mean, all the commercials are representations of her traumas bleeding through this false reality, right? Well, we had the Stark Toastmaster 2000. We obviously know the Stark missile and Stark tech had a big impact on her life. Then we had the Baron von Strucker watch. Baron von Strucker experimented on her and Pietro with the Mind Stone and Loki's scepter. That's a pretty big deal. Then we had the Hydra Soak commercial, which is shaped like the Tesseract. And that's pretty interesting. We know that Hydra had a huge impact on her life. Then we had Lagos, cleaning up the mess on Lagos. We know that Wanda feels remorse and regret for killing all the people in Lagos. Like, that was an accident. And they're playing the commercial with the paper towels. The Lagos brand paper towel is cleaning up a mess.
Yeah.
And now we have this. That's, you know what I mean? Like, this is feels like a pretty big, I feel like this is the most revealing out of all the commercials.
And it also kind of feels like these were parts of Wanda's consciousness, right? And my first interpretations were that it was exactly that. And it's like the real parts of her life manifesting, like she's manifesting them subconsciously.
Yeah.
But it also feels like if she was the one that was brainwashed, and she's, also in this hobbled state where she just doesn't understand what's happening, the complete picture of what's happening, it feels like these could be the reshaping of her memories, because we see that we see that Pietro is saying, it gaslights Wanda. It's like, hey, you're misremembering what our childhood was because of your trauma. She's saying, I don't think that's how that happened. But ultimately, I think that links to the commercials in the sense that this could be the reinforcement of Wanda's life, right? This could be, instead of remembering that her parents were killed and everything that she had gone through, she is being told that Stark Industries are just toaster builders, and Strucker didn't give them superpowers. It was the creator of watches. And similar, the way that you are being fed off of, or the deal that you made with the devil kind of thing, it wasn't that. It wasn't this malicious thing. It was just this fun Go-Gurt commercial about about consuming magic and being good, I guess.
Yeah, it's so interesting. One thing that let's talk about. We'll talk about the Mind Stone in a little bit. I see some awesome comments in chat about that. The possibility of her going to another verse, a multiverse, and making a deal with Mephisto, perhaps for the Mind Stone, because Vision did have the Mind Stone in this episode in his head, and it was referenced in episode 2 with the magic box.
Has he not had that every episode?
Yeah, but Vision was shown to be as dead within Westview, right? Like when he escapes outside of the hex, it's there. So it's pretty interesting, right? Because Wanda has has the negative. Yeah. So right, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Because when she expels Monica from the hex, we see Vision with the hole in his head, and she's repulsed by that. So she reverts back to trying to view him as not having the big hole in his head and being dead. But when he's escaping the hex, he has the Mind Stone, right?
Yeah, so I don't interpret that as that is the real Mind Stone. I do think it's entirely possible that this could have been the creation of a pocket universe to create a Mind Stone, a singular stone, or making a deal with the devil to get a multiverse stone from somewhere else, or a deal with anybody to get a multiverse stone with anybody else. But
because this does feel like she made a deal somehow and she's forgetting parts of it, right?
Yeah, either that or that she maybe went to combat this thing. Like she went into the hex trying to figure it out and to save the people of this town, and then ultimately, was the person that is now in charge of the border, right? Is the only person that's keeping it from expanding. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the Mind Stone at all, simply because the implications of having the Mind Stone back in the story is pretty wild. I think there's a lot that they could do with it, and I also think outside of the show that they have really talked about how they're done with it. They're done. They don't want the Infinity Stones in the story anymore, which I think is kind of cool. I think they're overpowered, so not having them would probably make for better storytelling.
One thing that is super interesting that we should talk about is that we find out that Director Hayward has tech that can track a vision that's part of Cataract.
Vibranium, yes.
Tracking
that
vibranium.
Is massive. That is so freaking crazy. Like, firstly, my first thought was, okay, and the wording is very, very important too, because it's the decaying of vibranium, which means that it decays. And in the comics, there's also this thing called vibranium sickness. Vibranium sickness, I don't exactly remember what it does, but it is an ailment against the miners. Like the people that would dig up this resource would often get vibranium sickness. But makes me think, since they're wording it as they are tracking the decay of vibranium and the signature of that maybe Wanda and the people around this decaying corpse are actually being affected more than they realize. It's also interesting because how in the world do they have a vibranium tracking satellite? How? Like, that is, the implications are insane. One, it is the most valuable resource in the world, and it pretty much only comes from Wakanda. So does Wakanda know? Are they on board with this? How would they be on board with this? It could only track this very, very specific place. Like, no way. So I think that they have that for a reason. I think it points to them using that tracking of vibranium. That could have been research that they found when researching Vision's body. And it could mean that they have found other vibranium. It means that the only vibranium synthezoid playing Daddy Knows Best, like Darcy said, might not be the only vibranium synthezoid.
Well, what about Wolverine?
Adamantium.
Adamantium, that's right. I know.
Yeah.
But what if they can track adamantium as well, huh?
It's pretty wild.
Man, Cap Shield? Can they track Cap Shield? Who has Cap Shield?
Probably.
That'd be interesting too.
Probably, and that's a good aspect of it. I feel like there's also a couple other things that Bucky's arm vibranium? Yes, it is, because it was made in Wakanda. It could relate to that, actually. Yeah, and maybe the story of Winter Soldier and
Falcon. Man, because we know Baron Zemo wants to eliminate all mutants, right? Like he doesn't want them to exist anymore. But this hex is creating more mutants, so that doesn't, you know what I mean? It's like, that's pretty crazy.
And that's another thing. Like, Hayward, I love the idea that, like, a human, you and I could be considered sentient weapons because we both have a degree of sentience, and we could attack other people, right? We ourselves are sentient weapons. So the creation of a weapon, I think, immediately we think of, a physical gun or axe or bomb, but the idea that they are creating mutants or creating even the children, because the entire plot inside of Westview is for the children, inexplicably for the children. And of course, all of our theories relate to this involving Mephisto. But what if it is literally SWORD creating sentient weapons, right?
Look at what happens with Billy and Tommy. They manifest their Wiccan and speed abilities.
Yeah, this is the episode that they become sentient weapons. Like, this is, I don't know. I love the idea that it's them, but I also love the idea that, the monologue with Hayward showed a hatred of superpowered individuals, right? And I love that, because my first thought was mutants, right? Like, this is probably going to integrate mutants in some kind of way, and people with the X gene, which I think Monica could have, and ultimately be the reason that she transforms. But this idea of mutants and this hatred of mutants coming into it means that Sentinels are probably not too far away. So what if, instead of creating sentient weapons in the sense of creating these children, he is creating Sentinels to fight for... Yeah. He's creating Sentinels to fight for, the people that
Wait,
wait,
maybe Monica is contacting Hank McCoy, and that's the engineer that she's talking to, dude. That would make a lot of sense, man.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. And I also think that
Chris, let's give it up for Chris, Chad. Hex Dogma.
Hex Dogma. Yeah, I think that there is still a few variables there, but we know that he doesn't like superpowered individuals. This idea of needing this because of the blip, because everyone was gone and it was such a dark period of humanity. Like, they could probably sell Sentinels so easy because it's just like, hey, it's a similar theory to Ultron, right? But this time with government funding and the people that aren't smart enough to realize their mistake of Ultron. Although I guess you could also say that they weren't smart enough because they created Vision, but thankfully it worked out. But creating this Sentinel army to protect humanity instead of relying on the superpowered people that just happen to like humanity. And
this is in a different multiverse, right? This is in this universe. We did get the Sentinels in X-Men Days of Futures Past, right?
So this I think this would be the perfect integration to show, this, because a lot of the storytelling in X-Men is this hatred, and then this Ubermensch of X-Men, and how they could be the next generation or the next evolution of man, or they could be the demise of mankind. And that perception and that perspective is, I think, so amazing. Applying it to the MCU, I think this is how they apply that.
I think. Now that Hank McCoy is a possibility, the engineer, the guy, it seems to be the guy is. They're specifically mentioning the male gender here. We talked a little bit about Fantastic Four in our previous podcast. Possibility of Reed Richards, I still think is there's a big possibility there of him because they mentioned aerospace engineer. Fantastic Four is getting a Marvel Phase 4 reboot. It certainly makes sense. That he could be the person that they're contacting to, and it would be really cool if they debuted a new character, right? Like cause they're definitely doing Monica's Photon origin story right now, right? So it'd be cool if they continue on that.
Is John Krasinski, is he confirmed to be Mr. Fantastic?
No, there's no confirmation yet, which is why I think it would be cool if they did drop the confirmation who was playing that character in WandaVision, right?
I hope it's John.
They could use these TV shows as a way to debut characters. I think that would be totally crazy. It would be awesome.
Actually, maybe I don't know if it's John. I don't know. I think John Krasinski could be so good. He is such a great actor. But I also worry that it could make it a comical character, whereas there is some levity in his character.
He was pretty good in what's it called? Jack Ryan though on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. I think 100. He could probably pull it off, but at the same time, I worry that they could make the same mistake where they just turn the Fantastic Four into a joke. And that's not to say it's not funny.
Look what they did with Paul Rudd, though. Everybody said the same thing about Paul Rudd.
Yeah, but Fantastic Four strike out every time. I don't know why.
Ant-Man is funnier though, right? I don't know.
Yes, so good.
But he can be super serious though. Like maybe you can have the same tone as Ant-Man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Doctor Doom is such a serious villain. Like he could be the Marvel Phase. I don't think he's Marvel Phase 4 villain. I think he'd be Phase 5 villain, maybe something like that. Like they could be working towards that.
Kate says that fan art of John Krasinski as Reed Richards had to send herself to horny jail. Yeah. It's so good. Like honestly, like
Shame.
Like I know exactly what you're talking about. It is a great character. Seems like he could pull it off, but again, if they had a not to say he's not a serious actor, but if they had someone that was just renowned for being that serious actor, or whoever's going to be the next Robert Downey Jr., right, could just fill that role and then really make it, the Fantastic Four, make the entire Fantastic Four be something that we care about as opposed to being the joke that it now is.
Who do you think is the main defender now that Tony Stark is gone? I think it's Doctor Strange, personally. And I think a lot of the stuff that's going to happen is going to happen through Spider-Man, specifically Spider-Man 3. They're really going to start to, I mean, that's when they're going to expand the Marvel multiverse. We're going to get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Like those, they are confirmed to be doing that. They're going to be bringing back villains from the other Spider-Man movies, like Alfred Molina that played Doc Ock is going to be in there. They're bringing back Jamie Foxx as I think we're getting Sinister Six in Spider-Man 3. And they have any, like, could they bring back Mr. Osborn? I don't know.
Yeah, and the other important thing is that none of that's the MCU, sadly, because it's all owned by Sony. So we can only speculate that that's going to happen.
But they have a movie deal for 2 more movies on Spider-Man working together. So that's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, definitely a big deal. And I love Spider-Man. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. Admittedly, I love the first Spider-Mans as well. Tobey Maguire, Maguire, not that bad. The third movie, pretty bad, but the first 2 movies, not that bad.
Well, that's a big reason why Marvel had so much success up until now, and they're able to do what they're doing. To be honest, they had to make all those billions of dollars, man.
Yeah. It's Spider-Man so influential, and of course, like the multiverse, the Spider-Verse, all of that. They could so pull that off in such a great way. You know, a way that incorporates the X-Men, all of these compartmentalized stories into their own multiverse reality. And then, of course, like you could have all of the Fantastic Fours because they could theoretically all exist in their own multiverse. As such, equally with all the Spider-Man, I would love to see Spider-Pig just in some tiny cameo make an appearance into that. It would just
Spider-Pig. Oh man, yeah, this episode of WandaVision was crazy, right? Like the final, we only got 3 more, well, maybe 4 episodes of WandaVision left. There's a rumor that there could be a 10th episode of the season, Chris, an epilogue to finish the season, and that's when Doctor Strange is going to show up. That would be kind of cool. I think Doctor Strange is going to show up anyways. Like if you think of the people who could possibly unfuck this situation, like Doctor Strange. I don't like Captain Marvel is up there in power, but I don't know, like, would her mind be affected by this? We know that she can change matter and stuff like that, but I don't see her showing up in WandaVision. It's possible that she does, though. Like, I don't know, but it seems that there is some maybe friction even between her and Monica. I don't know.
Yeah, so it seems like that, and it also seems like, so I have a part of my video script that's coming out still is it talks about how, Scarlet Witch probably, or Wanda could have probably beat Thanos 1v1, like she basically did before he starts raining hellfire. So this idea that she is just one of the most powerful Avengers in the world is, how do you beat that, right? Well, maybe you gaslight them. Maybe you do like these mental manipulations. Maybe you make them think that they are the bad guy and that they're in control, and that all of these things, like how many, like the Avengers could save the world, right? But how many of them are prepared to have the mental fortitude to withstand that mental attack where the entire world turns against you, or you are made to believe that you're the bad guy because everybody says that you're the bad guy and tells you your memories and tells you this past trauma that you had, right? I think that this entire show could be about the dangers of gaslighting and these mental manipulations because, you can be fucking super powered, but what good's that going to do if, like, you don't realize that you're being manipulated to do bad things? And it's amazing that it's happening to this specific character. I think that it's happening to this specific character because she is the one that has the ability to change people's perceptions and make them hallucinate and kind of a superpower as that mental manipulation as a superpower. So I don't know if anybody could beat her. I don't know how you would stop yourself from coming under her spell, and if it is her spell. And I think again, it's all made to make her believe that she's in control here, and that is how you defeat the most powerful superhero, is you ultimately let them defeat themselves.
Jess says, some kid could have been Spider-Pig for Halloween.
Oh.
And hi, Azir. Welcome. Welcome to anyone that's watching in the chat, by the way. If you're new here, welcome. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. We talk about WandaVision. We'll be talking about Winter Soldier and Falcon and Loki when they come out. Marvel podcast. We talk about things Marvel here. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. I see there's 60 people joining us right now. We're going to continue on here and continue talking. One thing that I wanted to ask you about, that did you see the Black Widow? The little Easter egg. It's like on the hay. It focuses it right in before Wanda and Pietro walk around the hay. It's like it's just a black spider. And it was
nice.
so they had a lot of different Easter eggs on the movie theater. They had the Incredibles, and of course they have like Vision's cape is kind of like stuck in the hex and doing that floating thing when he's trying to escape the hex. So there was a lot of really, really great Easter eggs in this episode, and also the kids' Halloween costumes, the demon spawn, as Pietro says. That's like what, the 5th mention of the devil now. Westview is charming as hell. Unleash Hell, Demon Spawn. The devil is in the details. That's not the only place he is. There's continuing references of the devil, and it's so interesting considering. I don't know. I don't know if this is cheesy or not, but the devil is in New Jersey. The legend of the Jersey Devil, that's been around since the 1900s. I mean, the New Jersey Devils literally named their hockey team after this myth. So I don't know, man. I'm still on the Mephisto train, but I could be talked off the ledge. You know, it could be a red herring.
Same, and it very well could be. I think Sword, Mephisto, or Nightmare are ultimately, pulling the strings, or maybe a combination of all three or two of those. There's one other thing that I want to talk about relating to what I think is hinting at Mephisto is when Pietro talks about, or when Vision's like, hey, I'm going to go do the neighborhood watch thing, and lies to Wanda, Quicksilver jumps right in and is like, yeah, I could do that. I have the old XY chromosome. I can be the father figure. That is just, again, such a manipulative thing to do. On the surface, it's like, hey, your kids need a father figure. I'll step in. I'll be that guy. And of course, hinting at Mephisto because they could be the spawn of him, or shards of him. And this idea that, and then you break it down further. He's saying, I could be their father specifically because I have an XY chromosome. Well, Vision doesn't have an XY chromosome. He could never. He's a robot, right? So it's like, it is the ultimate and at the same time just tiny, tiny jab. It's like discrediting his parenthood entirely, saying, you're not the father, I'm the father. I'm someone who's qualified to be the father. And I can step in and do that. I'll manipulate these kids. I'll make them see how cool Uncle P is. And then
that's why the Unleash Hell Demon Spawn. He's speaking of his my spawn. Unleash Hell Demon, like you're my spawn, unleash hell. You know what I mean?
Yep. And he's like, yeah, unleash hell, go around, let's be a bad influence, and let's mask it as this comical thing. But the kids love Uncle P now. But Uncle P drove a wedge in between Vision and Wanda, which I think is ultimately a big point of this, third-party master plan, is to make them fight each other as well. And the end, when Pietro gets blasted, did you notice what he gets blasted into? Because it took me forever to notice this, and I was like, oh my God, this could be hinting at something big. But he gets blasted into a play graveyard. Part of the set design in the back is literally these gravestones. He gets blasted by Wanda into the graveyard as if he was being returned to where he came from, or just being killed. So it could be showing that he was killed off in this episode, which aligns with this idea that, he's just a character that's going to be there for this single episode as the levity and comical, thing. But more importantly, what he did was make the children believe that he is the good guy, and now potentially that the mother just killed his brother, right? And just, which I think would drive a force in between Wanda and the children, and ultimately might make them rebel as well. Like,
we talked about the dialogue in this show, Chris, like it being literal. But like, can I ask your interpretation of Westview is charming as hell? Because this is how I interpreted it. Hey man, this place is charming like hell, because I remember what hell is like. That it felt like he felt familiar with what hell is like, and hell is charming to him. It felt like he was saying, hey, this guy, this is like hell. This is like hell. Like the hex is like hell. But it just felt like, did it feel like I don't know, man. kind of this just the way he said it, you know. And I think we have to pay really close attention to the way people are saying things, the way it's presented to us. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like some off comment, like, "Hey, I think Westie's a cute place." You know, that's like not how I interpreted it.
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, it feels like everything that he says is like doublespeak, and it's like he's shaping this thing to be just the cool uncle, right? So that he can be, you know, extra malicious and outgoing. Like, you know, what he does is probably morally wrong, stealing from all of the children and crashing, like destroying all of the pumpkins and causing the chaos that he does. Probably morally wrong. But of course it's masked as just Malcolm in the Middle jokes and something that could happen, and we shouldn't look more into it. But yeah, it's all, I think, all doublespeak for his true intention. You know, he's teaching these children bad things to do, and you know, saying that it's okay to do them. It's dividing a wedge between the parents. It's showing that you should like your uncle more than you like your parents. And ultimately, with lines like that, I think all of it adds to that doublespeak of, hey, yeah, I know what hell is. This is hell because I am the devil, and hell's not a big deal to me. Yeah, hell is fun.
It's familiar. Yeah. It's familiar to me. You know, that's so now we've moved past an hour in the podcast, and this is when we get our final 30 minutes. We're going to start to take your questions and feature some comments. And there's a new feature here on Melon where we can feature your comments straight on the stream. So I want to feature this one from Bailey, who's new here. And she says, "Hey, I'm new here. I just wanted to say I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but this show has me hooked with the whole X-Files vibe. I'm not 100% knowing what's going on. It's such great writing technique for the show." I agree with that. It's pretty sweet. One thing I also, Steve, I want to point this out, and I think we both agree with this sentiment as well, Chris. Hayward sounded a lot like I think he means Baron Zemo. Falcon and Winter Soldier, he doesn't like heroes. Like, the idea, like the xenophobia against mutants. We know that's a theme that is going to be continued.
That's it, man. Yeah. Like, I think that's it. I think that you know, it could involve good old Helmet there, but yeah, I think that his dialogue showed that he is not a good guy. I think it shows that there is much more behind the scenes that they're working on. I think it relates to Vision. I think it could possibly show that he is involved with this entire plot. And ultimately, you know, I think he kind of played his hand there when he showed exactly that hatred for super-powered individuals, which is just another name for mutants. Because if he had said mutants, I think everybody would have been like, "Oh, dude, he is straight evil." This is a story that we know, and as such, like, yeah. So, and the episode does give a lot of evidence to show the audience, hey, you know, he's the evil guy here. But at the same time, I think if this was a direct call out to mutants, then everybody would have been on board with the idea that he is directly going after them and making this entire plot about going after them, which I think is what he's doing.
I just found it so, I mean, like, why this version of Pietro, our Pietro is dead. We're getting two people that are so important in Wanda's life. Like, these are the people, like, she's so powerful. And this is what's so ironic about it. She wasn't powerful enough to save them. And that's her biggest regret. Right. But she is powerful. She's so powerful that she could be manipulated into creating this hacks. I don't know, man. I'm still on the same path as you. I think that Agnes is Agatha Harkness. I saw all of the different media outlets saying, "Oh, this theory has been debunked." I don't believe that at all. Let's go.
No way. Like, yeah, people, like, again, my first watch of the episode, I was like, oh my God, wow, Wanda is really doing this. And Agatha, or Agnes isn't Agatha. She's just another person. But when you really dig into, like, what happens and how that scene evolves, there's just so many inconsistencies about the mechanics of the show that they've made such a point to show us the mechanics, like this power exchange, this logical trade of resources, and then somehow she just doesn't, it doesn't apply to her. Why? And somebody posted in the comments, Dr. Victor Doom is an aerospace engineer. And yes, I wanted to talk about this last video, that it could be him. I thought that they wouldn't go that route, that Reed Richards might be the better choice. But this episode, it's revealed that they are meeting their friend over the ridge, not to talk about this, not to elaborate further on the plan. Monica says that whatever they theoretically designed is ready to go. That the person that they're meeting over the ridge has this technology, this theoretical, super expensive technology, ready to go. And who has money?
Ooh.
Not Reed, not Beast,
Victor
Dr.
Von Doom. Oh
Yep.
man, yeah, that could
I
be.
think it could be Victor Doom.
That's a hype train, Chad.
Yeah.
That is a hype train. Perv, thank you for that comment. By the way, and welcome. I haven't seen you in the chat before, so welcome here to the Marvel Podcast. I want to feature Marika. She's been on fire in the chat today. She says, "I really don't think Hayward and Sword aren't the big bad, but they're definitely antagonists with their own background agenda." Yeah, it goes to your theory, Chris, of the third party. In the third party, there's multiple organizations at work here. You know what I mean? Whether it's Hydra and AIM somehow, like. We heard multiple comments in the chat about how Hayward and Helmut Zemo have similar intentions. Like, it seems like Hayward has a problem with Vision or like mutants in general. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't talk fondly about Wanda at all. At all.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. No way. Like, the people that have experienced this and have a more intimate relation with superheroes, literally their entire team. One, best friends with Marvel. Darcy, Taze, Thor, the only person in that panel, in that room, to have taken down an Avenger. Okay. And then, of course, Jimmy Woo meeting Ant-Man and working with Ant-Man. Like, all of them have intimate relations with superpowered individuals.
He discredits all of them.
And he discredits all of them, kicks them out of the room. Also, the line about I love the dialogue in that scene where it's like, okay, now which one of you is the sassy best friend? And then Jimmy Woo starts talking. I was like, yes, dude, of course he is, man. I
would love to get a Jimmy Woo spinoff, man. They're going to do so many projects, man. They can.
I have a theory that Jimmy Woo. So in episode 3, when they get to the border and he talks about his perception of this wall, and it's saying like, it doesn't want me to enter. That just always felt off to me. And then he talks about how she should be feeling that, how Monica could be feeling that as well. When when I interpreted that, it was just like, why would you have this perception of the wall? Like, you're driving through the street and then all of a sudden you just get this like tingling feeling, and then, stop your car, turn it around, and then realize there's a barrier here. It just really felt off to me. But what if, because we know Monica could potentially have this X gene, what if this early perception of the reality and this like extra terrestrial, not terrestrial, extra, this magical force, their perception of that magical force could be hinting that he also has that X gene, which if he becomes a superhero and is a part of the series and the MCU much more, totally down with that.
It's a really interesting comment in the episode that I think we should talk about right now is Hayward says to Monica, "I know about your history with Carol Danvers."
Yeah.
That was very specific. Now, at first to me, let's lay this out, Chris. It's like, okay, yeah, he's the director of Sword, right? Like, he should have all of this information. Acting director. He has all this information at his disposal, right? But that felt really specific, And the Marvel Universe hasn't presented the Skrulls as the antagonistic bunch they were in the comics. But what about the Kree? Because the Kree, they are being presented as antagonistic towards the Skrulls. And Secret Invasion is upcoming, man. Right? Yep. Like, Captain Marvel's probably going to appear in that. We know Samuel L. Jackson's going to appear in that. Ben Mendelsohn as Talos is coming back for that. Yeah. And it's been 20 plus years. Like, Captain Marvel happened in the 90s. So what happened with the Skrulls? Like, that is another person that Monica could be in contact with. But that felt really specific to me. It felt like that. I don't know. In that moment, I questioned if Hayward was a Skrull. I was like, I don't know. But the Skrulls haven't been presented as antagonistic, so I don't know though. Like, this could be another extreme sect of the Skrulls, and this is setting up Secret Invasion, and that could be a pretty big what the fuck moment at the end of the season. But that comment seemed really off to me. Like, even though he's the acting director of Swords, something that felt really off to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the there's been a few lines, or I guess 2 lines about Captain Marvel and the relation to, and it feels like it feels like that's a part of the mystery somehow.
Mhm.
And that might not be the entire mystery, but I feel like that's like a key piece that as soon as we know more, that might leave or reveal more parts of the story. Where it's like maybe that will be the ultimate tie-in to the scrolls and really show that Hayward could be one, or anybody really could be one.
And by the way, these
manifesting this
hexagons
plot.
were on the scroll ship when Fury was walking around.
Yeah.
These hexagon-like technological hexagons that we see with
And
the
it'll
sword
also
technology.
It would also fit. Like I still for a lot of reasons believe that the hex has some technology background to it, which of course scroll technology, something that we don't know much about, could be integrated here to show that this is exactly what that is. And
stealing their data so they could better find a way to assimilate. Like they have tech that they are using to be able to assimilate as that person. But this feels like next level. You know what I mean? Like trying to understand their whole being. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the scroll aspect is interesting. In the opening credits of this episode, there is a scene with Vision on the couch, and the back of the newspaper shows a man stuck in a TV. And my video will have a breakdown of this specifically, but it shows a man stuck in a TV with a boombox on top and a light above. I also posted on Twitter, but the light above looks like a flying saucer, right? And I'm just like, dude, maybe it is, like, because the very first line of the show is about Wanda and her flying saucers. And it's just like, what a weird line. Like, why does that mean anything? Of course, the indestructible head thing makes sense, but why flying saucers? So it kind of points that this could be, and the back of the paper, it also talks about otherworldly deals. And it's made it to seem like it's an advertisement for televisions, but man, it could really be extraterrestrials, and if it is, then it's probably the Kree, or it's probably the Skrulls.
Yeah, the Skrulls haven't been presented as antagonistic because the Kree have, but Boston, welcome. Nice to see you in the chat. I think Hayward could be the Super Skrull, or the Super Skrull is the real asset in the Hex that is hunting Hulkling. Ooh, that's super spicy, man. I really like that.
Wow, and Hulkling being the person that was missing, the missing person.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting too. I want to highlight Benjamin's thoughts on this too. Hayward is kind of like Boulevard Trask from X-Men. We mentioned the Sentinels earlier, in where he sees the rise of mutants or enhanced individuals as a threat. That would really go against Maria Rambeau, considering she was best friends with Captain Marvel. That's kind of fucked. Hayward saw what happened with the blip and seems to blame enhanced people. Like, perhaps Hayward lost someone that he loved, and this is kind of his revenge arc. You know what I mean? That seems pretty cookie cutter, though. You know what I mean? I don't, it's possible, though. Like, all of these crazy things are happening, and Mephisto and everything else is a red herring. But I feel like there's too much evidence.
And I wonder, because like we've only seen the good parts of the blip, right? We've only seen the positives of everybody coming back. But I wonder if there is a negative. Like, if there was, actually, hold on. I think I got it. So the only negative that you could have of your loved one coming back is if they were terminally ill, right? Like, if you were on your deathbed and then you grieve the loss of your mother or wife, for the last 5 years you've done that, and then they come back only to die from the terminal ailment that they had, before they were snapped out of existence. Like, that would be a colossal blow to who you are, and that would probably shape and man, I think that's it. Like, I can't think of another bad thing that would come from this, having your loved one return to you. Maybe there's a point, like, I think I would enjoy that time back with my loved one, even if it was, only for a month or a little bit, but, it could easily be shaped to show that they were just ultimately tortured in a way. They were finally dead and able to have peace, only to come back and then die an even worse death to cancer or something like that. Like,
which is really interesting, considering, Monica's cells are changing on a cellular level. Her mom died. We don't know, she died 3 years previous before Monica comes back. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, the vibranium sickness, there could be some sort of something that's attributed to the snap that we don't quite know about yet, and that could be revealed. Like, that could be. I don't know, man. That is really interesting.
He talks about how dark it is, and of course, like, you know, what he's referring there is that, you know, the dependence on superheroes. It feels like, you know, there is like Iron Man for years.
Sokovia Accords were also mentioned, Chris. Like,
the Sokovia Accords,
and how
like
the being broken. You know what I mean? That's a big thing.
Yeah, so, you know, it feels like that the entire world was just content at being protected by superheroes, and then no superheroes existed, you know, or one did, and he went around killing and massacring people in Japan, I think, and, you know, of course, Hawkeye, right? And
his Ronin arc.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know, so it was like they went from being protected to not being protected to, you know, really understanding that they need to do this for themselves and protect themselves. Ultimately, I think coming back to the idea of Ultron and this iron shield to protect themselves from extraterrestrials or domestic superpowered people.
You guys are having so many awesome comments in chat and questions. Keep them coming. I want to feature this one from Tinkerbell. In Spider-Man Far From Home, they had charities for people who had become homeless after the blip because someone else was living in their place. Like all these different relationships, like marriages, events, companies, businesses. I like just like families torn apart. Like just we saw Steve Rogers, America's ass, putting together support groups for people, man. Like people, I mean, 5 years, dude, that's a long time. It's I don't want to compare it to the pandemic, but it feels like similarly, life was so drastically changed by the blip that we had to go on living in a different manner and really change our ways. Like it just affected people mentally in the same way the pandemic is affecting a lot of people who are suffering from mental health issues and stuff like that. And we both believe in fighting the stigma against that, by the way, everyone. I want to feature another comment here, Chris. It's a battle between magic and science. Hayward wants to get rid of Wanda and have Vision to himself, but Agnes and Pietro wants to get rid of Vision and keep Wanda and the kids to themselves. So it's a fight for resources, is essentially what Taurus is saying. What do you think about that?
I like that. Could you put that back on the screen?
Yeah, in 1 second. Let me scroll back up here. A tourist. And they have the Shazam as their avatar. I love it.
Shazam, great movie, by the way. Oh my God, so good.
I've still yet to see it. I got to watch it. I've been saving it for a rainy day, man.
Yeah, so I think a tourist. I think that's entirely possible. I think that Hayward relates to Vision in many more ways than we know about so far. I don't know if he wants to get rid of Wanda. I think he wants to use Wanda. Like, I think that he wants to develop this tool. And the other thing I want to talk about. So, and this kind of relates, I'll finish this point, but I think he wants to create his own vision. And because Vision is ultimately the ultimate theory of Ultron and how you could do Ultron correctly, you know, just imagine just thousands of visions existing across the world protecting, you know, humanity for humanity, or by humanity. And it's, yeah, so I don't know. I think that Wanda is ultimately the example that they're going to use to show how dangerous superpowered people are. And as such, he doesn't want to get rid of her. He wants to use her, in my opinion. But the other thing, the super crazy point that I noticed is the title, The Vision. Have you noticed that?
When?
So Hayward multiple times in this series has called Vision The Vision. And it bothered me. It was like 2 episodes ago or 1 episode ago, and I was like, "Why does he call him the Vision? Who is calling him the Vision?"
I haven't noticed it because there's so many other things I've been going on a thread on. But yeah,
so and I looked up the transcripts to find every instance of it, and even the transcripts are wrong because or on some of the sites are wrong because it seems like everybody's missing this point. And I may be looking way too much into it, but Vision isn't the Vision, right? However, if you look at every opening credit, he is given the name Vision in the opening credit of the show, except for this one, where he is explicitly called The Vision, which has never happened before. So I think The Vision might be different from Vision and The Vision could be the theoretical experimentation by Hayward to create their own vision or visions.
The word cataract is just... It has Vision literally in the definition of it, man. There's, and I mean, he's tracking Vision, not Wanda. That's a pretty big deal. That's something that we have to pay attention to. You guys are on fire in chat, dude. I'm trying to get to all of these. No, go ahead, Chris.
Totally unrelated. Have you ever seen, there was this doctor that made these YouTube videos about cataract surgery, and he would go to these I guess third world countries, but just these real poor places that and perform this eye surgery on children. And it is honestly one of the most fascinating things ever, because cataracts is like this gloss over of the eye, but you can fix it. Like it's a thing that you can fix, and you essentially slice the eye open, like take these tiny tweezers, I guess, and just slide out this like film that's developed over the pupil, and it is a spectacularly interesting surgery to watch. But, it's also but yeah, like he was doing it in the field. Like it wasn't like some crazy, like super, not that it was unsanitary, but essentially just like this idea that I don't know why I brought that up. It was just super cool.
yeah. Bailey says cataracts stop you from relying on vision, a basic sense. Stop you from relying on one of your senses. Yeah, that's kind of where I think they're going with it. I'm going to highlight Daniel Ellis's comment here. Where is it? Here we go. Show on stream. I have a feeling Hawkeye will be the one in WandaVision, will be the one to show up in WandaVision because he is the only one to have a strong friendship with Wanda, as seen in Age of Ultron and Civil War. Yeah, I actually really liked, we're getting Hawkeye in the fall. I think it's coming out in September. So that will be a show that we're getting this year. There's going to be 6 episodes of that. And it would make sense if they show Hawkeye again. Now he could show up. He has a lot of experience with S.H.I.E.L.D., which is Sword's sister agency. He was very close to Nick Fury, and he could be someone that's around that knows about certain things that are happening. I'm certain that he knows about the Hex. What do you think about that, Hex Dogma?
You think that Hawkeye knows about the Hex? You
think that Hawkeye knows about the Hex? Because he's one of these. He's one of their. You don't know how he would know.
Yeah, why? Like, I think he'd be there, right? I think if anybody knew that they would be there.
Maybe he's. I don't know, man. Like maybe they're gathering more resources and information about it. And plot. Come on. Yeah, he's going to show up in like the last episode or something if they're going to feature him.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there is a relationship there. We see that when Wanda is literally fighting Vision to make him let go of Hawkeye. It's an interesting relationship. I could see him come into the story in some kind of way, maybe to remind her of who she really is and that she is the good guy. But yeah, I don't know. I think if he knew right now that Wanda was doing this, he would be there right now. So I think it also probably points to the fact that Sword is keeping a tight lid on this and not turning. Yeah, oh my God, that's a great point, because they know what the Avengers are. They know who the Avengers are and how to reach them, and assumingly how to reach them, I guess. But why would they not ultimately just turn to this resource and use the people on her team to get her out of this crazy thing? Like,
Sword is corrupted. Sword is mucho corrupted, dude. We know that for sure. Yeah. Benjamin has man. You guys are on fire, man. Hype train for you guys, man. Here we go. Benjamin C says, so when speaking about the Vision, how do you think Sword got Vision's body? Ooh, it was in Wakanda, and it's interesting to see how Sword got to Wakanda and had them hand over Vision's body. And he has another comment to follow this up, and he says, is the entity, right?
I think there's a few ways that they could write how he got the body. I think it might not be a big deal at all. But theory crafting wise, I think that could point to possibly a relationship with Wakanda, and how they have the technology to track vibranium as well. Because that is
that's what it's in Wakanda. Man, that's Wakanda was founded on vibranium.
Yeah,
their whole history.
It could point to them working together, meaning that Sword at one point was the good guys, which we know because Monica's mother was the creator of Sword. So at some point we know that Sword were the good people that were acting for the genuine best interests of utilitarian good. But so I think at that point they could have worked with Wakanda, and as such, yeah, gotten Vision's body, been like contracted as the people or the government agency that was responsible for the cleanup in a lot of ways. Because
but 3 years, Chris, like they did a lot in 3 years. Like like Hayward capitalized on Maria's death and knew that Monica was gone and going to be her successor. So his plan, like their plan was like this has went from like two different extremes, right? Manned missions to outer space and observation to AI and weaponry within 3 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. But exactly. I think that, so I think how he got the body, or how they got the body, probably relates to that early time when they were working together, when Maria was in charge and it wasn't a big deal. But you also have to consider when Scarlet Witch is blipped back to existence, she is fighting Thanos like 10 minutes after she exists. But she's coming back in the place that the body was left. Like the body, she dissolved right at Vision's body. So 5 years ago, she's waking up and realizing like, oh my God, like his body's not even here. Probably one of the first things she thought of is exactly that. Like, where did he go? So that could be some really cool development that we see on screen as well. Just that realization of wow, I need to figure this out. Someone could be using this for something that isn't good.
Holy shit, dude. Holy crap, Boston. This is right, man. Doctor Doom attacked Wakanda in the comics because of vibranium. Now this Doctor Doom steam this hype that's happening in chat. Oh man, it would be really interesting. Oh man, I think I might have to make a video about this now. It's starting to blow my mind that he could possibly be the engineer that but now they're tracking vibranium. That's so interesting. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a giant point that is like really quickly glossed over. I watched a lot of video breakdowns and stuff to kind of all shape my own theories about everything. And it doesn't seem like anybody else is talking about that. Like that, the implications of that technology, massive.
Oh, hell yeah. By the way, 81 people are now watching. That's
hey.
Clap for you guys in chat, man. I see a lot of new people in chat. Me and Chris. Okay, so first, this is kind of a little explanation for you new people. I covered Game of Thrones for a long time here on the channel. Decided I wanted to cover different things, Witcher, Marvel. Those are my two other favorite things other than Game of Thrones. Chris is the GOAT. The best, the absolute best Westworld content creator that's out there. But we also share a passion for Marvel comics because we grew up reading that shit and Marvel movies. Like, come on, man. We miss going to the movie theater. So everyone that's here, thank you for showing up today. Like last week, I think we had 60. Now there's 81 in the chat. I'm absolutely loving this. New people coming to check us out. And I just want to let everyone know if you're enjoying this, you can find the link to Chris's channel, by the way, in the description of the video. Go subscribe to his channel and check his stuff out because he's also creating his own awesome WandaVision content on his channel, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. But sorry, guys. I just wanted to thank you guys all for coming today. It's been super fun. Chris, let's continue.
Yeah, I think Doctor Doom, man, I would really love Doctor Doom to come into this because Doctor Doom has never been the issue with the Fantastic Four, right? Doctor Doom is a great character. There is so many good stories that involve him and just how he works as a villain. I think that, and someone posted that he's confirmed in Black Panther 2. I haven't seen that. That's super interesting if he is. But if he is, and all of the things point to this person that is an aerospace engineer that has the resources to just create, this theoretical technology for them to use, I think it points to money. I think it points to, again, someone super smart. And of course, Dr. Doom is that person. But I think that if they want to integrate the stories that early, into the Phase 4, this would be a great way to do it because whoever Doctor Doom is, they don't have much work to do. Not in the sense that like it's not a hard character to play, but like comparatively to making the man with stretchy arms be a character that we care about again, I think comparatively there's miles of different work to do. And
Fantastic Four won't come out until 2023. So it would be so smart of Marvel.
So smart
to a little bit of Reed Richards, a little bit of Sue Storm, or if they want, because we know X-Men is coming like near around when Fantastic Four is getting their reboot too. Hank McCoy, whatever, whoever they want to insert into the story, just give us a little piece of that, right? And I think they're going to do that a lot with all of these different shows, right? Like we could get like Mephisto, like Kang the Conqueror and Mephisto are rumored to be in Loki, right? Like Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Oh man, like he could appear in Fantastic Four, right? Too. Like he could be another guy that they like. He could. These are great ways to start to get us excited about these stories that are coming in Marvel's future. Man, it's just so fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think. I don't know. I think if they want to do this, if they want the X-Men and Fantastic Four and all of these great integrations to exist in the MCU, because ultimately that's why they bought Fox. I think.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. They need to integrate it early on into Phase 4 and show us that these characters exist and these stories exist, and we should care about them again.
Some people are saying the finale is going to be longer too, like an hour and a half. That would be friggin' crazy, by the way.
I've heard that the last 3 episodes are going to be an hour each, which I think is beautiful because again, not only because we get more content, but like this is actually such a genius art that they created here, because they, like, who else could make a series about the showcase of television, in the early stages of television in the 50s and 60s. Like, shows were not lasting that long. It was like the idea that you needed these short, quick products, and as such we got short, quick episodes at the start of WandaVision. But now as we come to the modern era, we see these longer, more drama-based episodes, and reflecting just this true fidelity of how TV evolved. That is like genius attention to detail, and I think that's award winning. No other show could pull this off, and they had the foresight to actually put that in the series. It's so smart.
By the way, so many people are going off in chat with amazing theories. Boston, you're popping off in chat. I just want to let everyone know that Fandom Media is going to be expanding the team. I'm looking for writers and researchers who want to research theories and just Marvel comic references and stuff like that. I want to add a little bit to my team. I might add a few people, but if anybody is interested in that kind of thing, like sharing theories and information and all that kind of thing, I'm thinking about doing a Fandom Media group think tank type deal. It's just been me, Kyle, for the past 4.5 years. It'll be my 5-year anniversary in April. So I don't know. I'm thinking about things because there's so much Marvel content this year, and there's so many just amazing people who have amazing thoughts out there. If anybody is interested in that kind of thing, just let me know. If you're interested in talking theories or you want to help out with the channel, but yeah, let me know. And
even like, not to invite people onto your channel, but like this is. We've talked about this before, but if there is people that want to come on and talk and stuff like that just, feel that they can confidently talk about their theories and stuff like this, we would love to have you. We just want to talk Marvel stuff with people,
We're going to have some guests on the channel. One person that I do want to contact is Sam Coleman, who played young Hodor. He loves Marvel as well. It'll be cool to have him on it as a guest. Of course, he was in Game of Thrones. Sean Tanktop. From those of you that know Burlington Bar, who did all those amazing Game of Thrones reactions as his bar, he's going to come on and chat WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier with us soon. But we are going to have some guests on at some point. But me and Chris, we're becoming familiar with each other now. We're at episode 4, collabing with each other. We've collabed with each other before, but it does take some time to get comfortable and know how long each other's points are going to be and stuff like that. But we're really enjoying the Marvel podcast so far. I think we'll go for another 5 minutes, Chris. We'll try to wrap it up, get some more questions and comments. We'll kind of maybe do like a lightning round, and we can highlight. You want to highlight some of these awesome comments from chat? And then we'll sign off. You know how to do it, right? Like just in the
I don't know how to do it.
You can just press on it now. It says if you highlight right over someone's name, it says show on stream, and you can just put it right on. Or maybe it's only available. Is it only available to me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's only available to you.
Only available to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah! I don't think I can do that. Yeah.
Actually, let me ask a question to chat so far. What show are you most excited for coming up? are you like, I know everybody's obviously here excited about the last 3 episodes of WandaVision, or maybe 4. There's a rumor that there could be a 10th episode. But what are you most excited for? We know that Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming next month. That's only 4 weeks away, by the way, everyone. That's like coming really soon. Then we have Loki in May, so that comes right after Falcon and Winter Soldier. Marvel What If, I think will have a similar format to WandaVision. They'll probably do like shorter, like sitcom-y type episodes of like, what if Captain America was part of Marvel, or like what if Robert Downey Jr. was Doctor Strange, shit like that. Then Hawkeye comes in the fall, and then it's Miss Marvel in December. So I'm curious, everyone in chat, let us know what you're most excited for. I know you're on Loki, but I'm most excited for seeing Baron Zemo, possibly the Thunderbolts, the Flag Smashers, and seeing that. I think I'm focused on what's coming next, but I think you might be right. Loki be the most fire out of all of them.
I think I don't know exactly. I haven't researched Loki too much, or even know if there's that much information out there, if this is going to, when this is going to be based. But I think that, he is a great character, and there's so many opportunities to show, what he's all about. Also how he came. So do you know if a general scope of when that show is going to be based? Is that out there yet?
Say that again. Sorry, you cut out for me.
Do you know if there's a general scope about when the Loki timeline is going to be?
It's going to be really, what we should do, man, is we should break down that trailer and discuss Loki, because Loki's dead, man. You know what I mean? So I want to, does anybody in chat know exactly when it's set, by the way?
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Wait on that, but
I haven't looked into Loki as much as the other shows yet. Like I've been looking more and more into Falcon and Winter Soldier. By the way, trailer breakdown dropping tomorrow. That's my next video. I'm going to be breaking down the Super Bowl trailer. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Great trailer. Oh my gosh, so hyped.
Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody? Somebody probably knows in chat, right?
Well, I mean, it may not even be publicly available, but I think that something that they could do is talking about when the because at one point Thanos gave Loki the scepter, right? As kind of like, you be my disciple and you do this for me. And I think that that's like such an interesting time. Like that could probably come back into the story somehow, like how, ultimately that came to be, and how he came to be trusted with that power. I don't know. Other than that, I think that there's some early time, maybe in like the development stage. The relationship between him and Thor could be really interesting to explore, though I don't know if Thor is really going to be a part of this. It hasn't been talked about at all. But yeah, I'm excited for Loki just because of who he is as a character, and the actor who plays him is, so good. The death scene when he's like being choked out is just haunting. I can see his face right now. Like that is such an image that is just so well done, and it shows like the cruel nature of Thanos and how like impactful this episode, or I'm sorry, that movie was going to be. Like we're going to see death, and it's going to be brutal, and they showcase that so well.
Oh man, dude, I'm so psyched for Disney Plus is killing. And then if you guys are Star Wars fan, Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett in December, same time. So we got Benjamin, Loki. Hey, Tourist says Loki. Marika says Loki. Morley says Loki.
Loki gang.
Loki gang, Loki gang, Loki gang. Witcher and Loki. We have Falcon and Winter Soldier. Seems like Loki is the consensus, man. That's crazy. Loki and What If. WandaVision season 2. There won't be a WandaVision season 2, April. This is it.
This is it.
That's it.
And so, with that, I'm so excited that WandaVision's taking off like it is. The first couple episodes, a lot of people were scared, including myself, that it probably wasn't going to capture a lot of people's attention because it was just like, it was a slower burn. Like there was definitely mystery in the first couple of episodes because, of course, we covered that and I was interested. But like, there was a lot of people, I guess, like the normies that watched it and were just like, this isn't for me. I'm glad that it's now like the #1 trending show.
It trends every Friday on Twitter or Google, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. It's I love it, and also like I think so many people want to see Loki because, man, it just feels like Falcon and Winter Soldier are just two regular ass dudes, and I don't know if I care about two regular ass dudes. Like,
but you know what? Though a lot of people thought WandaVision was just going to be weird and not palatable, and I think Winter Soldier and Falcon's going to be so fire. It's going to like there's going to be like, dude, they're going to bring in the Thunderbolts and Baron Zemo, and they're going to bring in Flag Smashers, and they're bringing George St. Pierre back as Baroque. Like, that's going to be crazy.
I think that, yes, that because we know who's making the show, because Marvel's behind it, because, I mean, the entire future of the series really depends on them making these first good shows, that it'll probably be good. But right now, I'm going to watch it because I want to talk about it. But I don't know.
You're a degenerate like me,
I don't know
dude.
I don't know who else is watching it, right? Like, who else is excited for that series? Outside of the people in the community that are really doing it. So again, I think it's just not marketed well, or like we don't have enough hints about the big bad or how, the overall plot or something like that.
But you know what though? Like when people when they do those rankings of Marvel movies, Captain America Winter Soldier is often in the top 3 or 4 movies. People like the tone of that movie was great. And I think that's what they're going to bring that tone into Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? Like, obviously exploring the legacy of Captain America is not maybe not as interesting as what's happening on WandaVision, right? But I don't know, man. I think they're going to there's going to be certain themes that are presented in Falcon and Winter Soldier, like terrorism, for example. Like, we know that kind of thing is more meta and mainstream in humanity, like things that we're seeing in the world now. But I think that there's, man, I don't know. Like this is more bringing us into the weird parts of the Marvel universe, right? Like the more obscure parts of it. And I get what you're saying. Like the more like the Captain America is more meta. Like that's like more like of an easier to understand product of Marvel. So it will be like I'm still thinking there's going to be big twists. So there's definitely going to be big twists. Like I think that maybe we could see the Tesseract pop up in some sort of way again, and all of that.
Yeah,
Hydra,
maybe. Yeah, and again, they're following the show that it's potentially about the creation of multiverses and the most powerful Avenger with the 2 least powerful Avengers.
Dude.
Although at the same time, I really like
guy
Anthony
with a fucking flying Falcon suit and Bucky with like a metal arm. Lol.
I really like Anthony Mackie, and I think that he could really step in, like kind of be like an Iron Man hybrid role, like just like so confident and so like badass swagger, just fill that like early Iron Man like attraction as well. So I don't know.
I'm excited for the chemistry between Sebastian Stan and Anthony. I think that'll be the number one selling point of the show is their relationship. And I also think that, Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo, he's a terrific actor. He'll be fantastic. And it's going to be interesting to see who gets the shield. I'm on Team Buck. I think Bucky's going to end up with the shield, man. I know a lot of people think Anthony Mackie will become Captain America. I would love to see a black Captain America too. Representation, that would be awesome. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that, Chris. I think it's going to be totally fucking awesome. But just because I'm hyped about everything that's happening now, I'm just excited and happy that we are moving forward with more content. It's a lot different from 2020, man. I'm just happy.
Hell yeah.
So I think we'll end it on that positive note, and also Hex Dogma's joke.
Hex Dogma.
Wonderful Loki motives. Get it? Locomotive. Loki.
No, not my joke. Not my joke. Someone Tinkerbell posted that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It was really awesome. We had like 83 viewers at the peak here, which is a step up from like 60 that we had last week. So super awesome for all of you to join us today, especially on Valentine's Day. You're all our Valentines. We love you in chat. It's been cool to see so many new people. For those of you that are new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be making lots more Marvel content here on this channel. Chris is also going to be making content here on his channel. Chris, what's next for you, my man?
I am breaking down this last episode. I'm working on I just finished the audio. The video just starting now today. So probably tomorrow morning could be out. Thankfully, I don't work tomorrow because it's a holiday, and yeah, so it'll definitely be a sooner video than I normally put out per week. But yeah, I'm also considering a overarching kind of breakdown of the examples of gaslighting in the show and how I think the grand scale of manipulation could be happening to Wanda. Specifically just doing a case study, showing those exact examples and instead of like the plot breakdown of each episode, just dedicating why I think, my complete thoughts on that scenario. But yeah, so yeah, please subscribe at Hacks Dogma on YouTube.
Hacks Dogma. You can find the links in the description of the video, everyone. As well, like I said earlier, you have any questions, theories, or comments that you would like featured on the podcast, leave them in the description of the video, or feel free to message me on social media. Instagram and Twitter is the easiest way to find me, or you can find me on Facebook, Fandom Media on Facebook, like here on YouTube. Of course, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be lots more content here. If you do want to support me or Chris has Patreon. I have Patreon. Easy to find. Just go search that up. Or you can hit that join button. By the way, everyone, I'm going to be adding new emojis in the chat next week. Here's what we have so far. We have Baby Yoda, the Mandalorian helmet, Ahsoka. We have the Witcher helm, Chewbacca, and the hype train. I'm going to be switching out Chewbacca, Ahsoka, and I'm going to be putting in a Spider-Man mask, and maybe I'll put Captain America shield or something from WandaVision. I could put Wanda or Vision in there. But yeah, we're going to be switching around those emojis and also the badges that you get when you hit the join button. So yeah, check that out if you want to support the channel. You don't have to. Like I said, I'm going to create this free content for everyone, but if you support the channel, it really helps out. Put it towards new equipment and investing in the channel and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Real quick, a couple people asked about the Snyder.
Yeah.
I've watched the trailer. Looks amazing. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I mean, I'd be down to talk about that after the show comes out if we want to break that down. Because yeah, I think.
When does that come out? When's it drop? March
something? Yeah, I'm not.
It's like right around when Falcon and Winter Soldier drops.
Soon. Yeah.
Guys, we are not just going to do WandaVision reviews here. This is what we're focusing on right now because it's like right in front of us. But like, I'm totally down to talk about Snyder. Like, what's it going to be like 4 hours of DC? Like, we're called the Marvel Podcast. Like, we're going to talk about mainly Marvel stuff here, but I'm down to talk about it too, Chris. If you guys are excited enough in chat and want us to talk about it, we can do more. We can talk about more things here on the Marvel Podcast. Yeah.
And
the day before Falcon and Winter Soldier, my God, dude.
The emoji, you should have the old school like Scarlet Witch M, like the mask.
Oh,
you should make that an emoji. That would be super cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we can switch them up every time like a new show drops. Like, actually, the more people that sign up, like if 3 more people sign up, we get another emoji. 3 more people after that, we get another one. So I can only use 6 right now. But the more people that hit the join button, the more. Like I think we can get up to like 20 or 30. I mean, I'm not a superstar like Emergency Awesome or whatever, but who knows? Someday, maybe we'll be someday. Thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate you joining us. It's been super fun. It's the Marvel Podcast. We'll see you again next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Happy Valentine's.